Prince Harry is heartbroken all over again. Why this has really hit home to Harry is that he had always discussed with Chelsea Davy having a large family.
London, March 2026 marks a pivotal turning point in the Prince Harry saga, a phase not defined by the Hollywood red carpet, but by the cool, indifferent mint of British law and the dreamy fantasies of things that could have happened. The headline that sent shockwaves through both sides of the Atlantic came from the High Court. Judge Peter Lane delivered a crushing blow to Harry's long-standing legal battle against the Home Office. As reported by Reuters, the court's ruling was surgical in its precision. The decision by Ray, the Royal and VIP Executive Committee, to withdraw Harry's state-funded security was deemed legal and contained no procedural unfairness. For Harry, this is more than a legal loss. It is a total stripping of his royal armour. The court's stance was clear and uncompromising. Public funds and elite police protection are not concierge services for those who choose to exit the firm. The BBC highlighted the staggering financial aftermath. Harry is now staring down a legal bill exceeding £1 million. The irony is as thick as the London fog. The prince, who once claimed he fled the UK for the safety of his family, now finds himself legally barred from the very protection he craves unless he pays for private contractors who lack the jurisdiction and intelligence-gathering powers of the Metropolitan Police. He has become, in the eyes of the British legal system, a litigious commoner, a man attempting to blackmail the public's emotions to regain privileges he voluntarily surrendered during the infamous Sandringham summit. Perhaps the most visceral symbol of Harry's displacement is his lack of a fixed address in his birth country. Since King Charles III issued the eviction notice for Frogmore Cottage in 2023, Harry has been a nomad in his own kingdom. In March 2026, during his brief, hushed visits to London for court hearings, the world witnessed a jarring sight: a prince of the blood staying in luxury hotels because he no longer has a home on royal soil. This homelessness is a direct consequence of his choices, a physical manifestation of the irreversible distance reported by The Guardian. While his brother William moves between the security of Adelaide Cottage and the grandeur of Windsor Castle, Harry is a guest in a commercial suite surrounded by hired muscle rather than the household cavalry. While Harry navigates the wreckage of his legal battles, a ghost from his past has emerged to provide a stinging cont. In a move that set social media ablaze this March, Chelsea Davy, Harry's first deep love and partner of 7 years, took to her private Instagram to announce a milestone that feels worlds away from the Sussexes' drama, the birth of her third child. The imagery was simple, elegant, and devoid of the calculated branding that has come to define the Montecito aesthetic. Chelsea, once the party princess who fled the royal spotlight because she loathed the intrusion, has achieved exactly what Harry claims to have wanted: a life of absolute privacy, immense wealth via her own jewellery brand and family heritage, and genuine stability. The what-if factor. Royal observers and former friends of the Duke are now whispering the inevitable question: what if it had been Chelsea? Asterisk. Authenticity versus performance. Chelsea loved Harry the man, not Harry the global brand. Unlike Meghan Markle, who has been accused of reformatting Harry into a Hollywood archetype, Chelsea was a pillar of silence. Insiders suggest that had Harry married within his original social circle, the Chelsea set the bridge to William and Catherine would never have been burned. There would have been no Spare, no Netflix docuseries, and no million-pound lawsuits. Harry is now widely regarded as the Montecito prisoner. His isolation from his oldest friends, those who shared his youth and his military years, is attributed to the toxic possession and jealousy often cited in tabloid circles regarding Meghan's control over his social sphere. The freedom Harry sought in California is rapidly morphing into a financial labor camp. With the Spotify deal dead, leaving behind the stinging label of grifters, and the Netflix deadline looming at the end of 2025 over 2026, the Sussexes are in a desperate sprint to maintain a security detail that costs upwards of $3 million per year. They must produce, but the American market is fickle. The fascination with royal grievances has soured. As Meghan pivots to lifestyle content, cooking shows, and polo documentaries, the royal glow is fading. They are no longer viewed as revolutionaries. They are seen as content creators, struggling to stay relevant in a world that has moved on to the quiet, dignified resilience of the working royals. A tale of two lives while Prince Harry is reportedly trapped in a cycle of litigation and marital tension in California. His first deep love, Chelsea Davy, is living the very dream they once whispered about in the African bush. As of March 2026, the announcement of Chelsea's third child, Finn, has sent a shockwave through Montecito, acting as a painful mirror to Harry's current disaster of a marriage. Is it possible that the woman who refused to be a princess was actually the one who could have saved the prince? As Meghan Markle's possessive shield tightens, the shadow of the Zimbabwean Aries has become the ultimate psychological trigger for a duke who is losing his grip on his own narrative. As the world marks the date of the 25th of March 2026, the British press, from the Mirror to the Telegraph, has highlighted a stark, almost cruel irony. Chelsea Davy, the woman Harry once described in his memoir Spare as his deepest affection, has just shared images of her third child, a baby boy named Finn. She is the picture of a woman who is one at life, a thriving jewellery empire named Yar, a devoted husband in Sam Cutmore Scott, and a level of genuine unforced happiness that seems to elude the Sussexes in their high-security compound. To understand the current tension in Montecito, one must understand the depth of the Harry-Chelsea era. For 7 years, 2004, 2010, they were the it couple of the international jet set. Chelsea wasn't just a girlfriend, she was Harry's peer, a billionaire's daughter with a law degree. She was never dazzled by the golden cage of royalty. In Spare, Harry spent pages reflecting on their time in Botswana and Cape Town, admitting he loved her unconditionally, but couldn't ask her to sacrifice her soul to the paparazzi wolves. However, royal biographers like Angela Levin have suggested that Harry's regret runs deeper than he admits. The party prince era was marked by Harry's own infidelities and immaturity mistakes that ultimately drove the independent Chelsea away. The tragedy of 2026 is that Harry now possesses the maturity to value what Chelsea offered, but he is legally and emotionally bound to a woman whose personality is the polar opposite of his first love. The announcement of Chelsea's third child is reportedly a major point of contention within the Sussex household. According to sources close to the couple, Meghan's reaction to Chelsea's happiness is one of strategic dismissal, masking deep-seated jealousy. Meghan has always prided herself on being the woman who saved Harry, yet Chelsea Davy represents a version of Harry that was free, authentic, and genuinely loved by the British public and the royal family alike. Meghan's possessiveness often manifests in social media policing. While the Sussexes maintain a strictly curated public image, Meghan is said to be acutely aware of how Chelsea is perceived as the one who got away. The fact that Chelsea remains close to Princess Catherine and Prince William is a poisoned arrow for Meghan. In the years before Meghan, Chelsea and Catherine were often seen laughing together at polo matches, two women who shared the burden of dating Windsors. This bond of sisterhood is something Meghan has never been able to replicate, leading to an environment of isolation for Harry. The regret felt by many in the royal old guard is palpable. Had Harry married Chelsea, the standardization and slimming down of the monarchy might have been a story of strength rather than a saga of betrayal. Strong, independent, professionally driven, a lawyer and fiercely private, she would have provided Harry with the North Star of grounded reality, performative, image-conscious, and strategically public. British tabloids frequently ask the what-if question. If Chelsea had been the one standing by Harry at the Queen's funeral, would the walkabout have been delayed by 45 minutes? Almost certainly not. Chelsea, with her deep understanding of Catherine and William, would have been a bridge rather than a barrier. Meghan's jealousy is not just directed at Chelsea the person, but at the world order. Chelsea represents a world where Harry belongs to his family, not a personal brand. While Chelsea's business thrives on organic growth and genuine craftsmanship, the Sussex's Arkwell brand is facing a crisis of relevance. The loss of the Ravex security battle, confirmed by Reuters and BBC, has turned Harry's life into a series of logistical nightmares. He is a man who cannot return home to the UK without a legal battle. While the woman he once loved moves freely between London and Africa, welcomed by the very institutions Harry has alienated. The disaster of the Sussex marriage, as described by critics, is rooted in this lack of trust. Harry is reportedly limited in his interactions, fearing that any positive mention of his past or his family will trigger a jealousy storm at home. He watches Chelsea's Venman fulfillment from a distance. A Montecito prisoner who has realised that in his quest for freedom with Meghan, he may have traded a crown for a set of much tighter, invisible chains. Perhaps the most painful aspect of this ghost is the loss of the relationship between Harry and Catherine. Chelsea Davy was the sister-in-law. Catherine almost had a woman who shared her values and her dreams of a quiet, service-oriented life. Meghan's documented jealousy toward Catherine has only amplified Harry's isolation. By cutting off the first love and the sister-in-law, Meghan has left Harry with no one but herself. A palace in paralysis. As the world mourned the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, a silent, bitter war was being waged behind the stone walls of Windsor. The infamous 4-5-minute delay of the Fab Four walkabout on the 10th of September 2022 was not just a logistical hiccup, it was the peak of Meghan Markle's territorial protocol. While Princess Catherine stood ready with stoic grace, Meghan reportedly engaged in a high-stakes negotiation that left the King's household in shock. This wasn't about a dress or a camera angle, it was about a desperate need to reclaim centre stage from the woman Harry almost called a sister. The friction of that day remains the definitive proof of a rift that can never be healed. As documented by veteran royal correspondents from the Telegraph and the Mirror, the 4:30 p.m. start time for the Windsor walkabout came and went with an eerie silence. For 45 agonising minutes, the world waited in front of the gates of Windsor Castle. Inside, the atmosphere was described by insiders as toxic and beyond refrigerated. The delay was triggered by a fundamental clash of agendas. While Prince William and Catherine sought a unified front to honour their grandmother, Meghan Markle reportedly viewed the event through the lens of personal branding. Sources close to the situation reveal that Meghan attempted to arrange her own separate walkabout with her own preferred photographers, a move Prince William flatly refused. The 4 5-minute stall was Meghan's response, a power play that forced the future king and queen to wait while she re-readied herself. This was the ultimate expression of control, making the ancient institution bend to her personal timeline. The core of Meghan's possessiveness isn't just directed at Harry's ex-girlfriends like Chelsea Davy. It is aimed squarely at Princess Catherine. For Meghan, Catherine represents the untouchable standard, the woman who successfully navigated the royal cage that Meghan claims broke her. The jealousy is systemic. Meghan's documented image policing of Harry often happens in direct reaction to Catherine's popularity. While Catherine is seen as dignified and steadfast, Meghan's PR machine often pushes a narrative of relatable and emotional. When the public responds more warmly to Catherine's quiet service, the jealousy tax is often paid by Harry at home. Insiders claim that following the walkabout, Meghan's frustration regarding Catherine's superior positioning in the media coverage led to weeks of tension in Monateto, with Harry caught in the crossfire of his wife's perceived victimhood. During that walkabout, the contrast in Harry's behaviour was undeniable. He appeared hollowed out, frequently looking to Meghan for permission or a cue before interacting with the morning crowd. This limited interaction has become a hallmark of their public appearances since moving to California. While most royal couples operate as a team, observers note that Harry has become a secondary prop in the Meghan Markle show. Meghan often occupies the centre of the frame, speaking for both of them and using "we" to describe her own personal feelings, while Harry stands slightly behind, his body language defensive and withdrawn. This is the result of years of correction. Meghan's reported habit of critiquing Harry's public interactions after the fact has led him to stop trying altogether. He has become a silent partner in his own life, a Montecito prisoner who knows that a single wrong word or a friendly glance toward the wrong sort of person will result in a domestic storm. This marital tension is occurring against the backdrop of Harry's crushing legal defeat. As confirmed by Reuters and BBC, Harry's loss in the Court of Appeal regarding his security status is not just a financial blow. It is a psychological one that Meghan has used to her advantage. Harry feels exposed and unprotected by the very institution he left. However, the irony is not lost on the British public. Harry claims he needs millions in taxpayer-funded security to visit the UK, yet he travels to Nigeria, Colombia and Mexico with his own private team without incident. This security paranoia is frequently amplified by Meghan, who uses the danger narrative to keep Harry isolated from his family. By convincing him that the UK is unsafe, she ensures he remains within the controlled environment of California, far from the influence of William, Catherine, or the grounding memory of Chelsea Davy. As the marriage visibly struggles, the Vanity Fair reports of a post-divorce book offer a chilling glimpse into Meghan's exit strategy. The threat of a second spare, this one written by Meghan, serves as a powerful deterrent. If Harry attempts to reclaim his independence or return to the royal fold, he faces the prospect of a global bestseller detailing his failures as a husband and his psychological fragility. Meghan's possessiveness has evolved into a form of mutually assured destruction. Harry stays because he is trapped by the children, the complex finances, and the fear of what Meghan might write. The ownership he feels from her isn't about love. It's about a brand that cannot afford a divorce. Looking back at the 4-5-minute delay at Windsor, the tragedy of the situation is clear. Had Harry been with a woman like Chelsea Davy, a woman of principle, law and quiet strength, there would have been no delay. There would have been no image policing or competitive photography. Catherine would have had a sister-in-law she could trust, and William would have had a brother he could rely on during their shared grief. Instead, the House of Windsor is left with a ruinous rift that shows no sign of mending. As Meghan continues to standardise Harry's life to fit her vision, the once vibrant prince is left to navigate a world where he is owned by a queen of his own making, while the real future queen, his sister-in-law Catherine, continues to lead with the grace he once hoped to share, a marriage held together by ink and interest. As the global Sussex brand faces a brutal winter of waning relevance, the golden handcuffs have never been tighter. Beyond the public displays of affection lies a chilling financial reality. Prince Harry is reportedly caught in an economic choke point, with his UK security legal battles ending in a catastrophic and costly defeat in May 2025, and high-profile publications like Vanity Fair whispering about Meghan's post-divorce plan. The Duke of Sussex finds himself in a high-stakes game of survival. Is Harry staying for love, or is he staying because the cost of leaving both financially and reputationally is a price he simply cannot afford to pay? As we reach the 25th of March 2026, the financial landscape for Harry and Meghan has shifted from unlimited potential to strategic conservation. The initial $100 that million Netflix deal, once touted as a symbol of their independence, has reached a crossroads. Industry insiders suggest that the golden goose of royal gossip has been plucked clean, leaving the couple in a precarious position where their lifestyle costs far outstrip their organic income. The most alarming development for Harry is the emergence of reports in Vanity Fair regarding Meghan's long-term post-divorce strategy. This is not mere tabloid speculation. It is a calculated leak from the heart of the American media establishment. The report suggests that Meghan's team has quietly gauged interest with an unnamed publishing house for a narrative exploring life after a hypothetical split from Prince Harry. For Harry, this is a nuclear deterrent. If he were to initiate a separation or attempt to return to the UK Windsor Fortress, he risks a global bestseller that would dismantle his character even further than his own memoir did. Meghan's reported possession of Harry isn't just emotional, it is informational. She holds the keys to the Manetto bunker. And the threat of her narrative, a potential spare two from the wife's perspective, is a cage Harry cannot easily escape. The financial pressure has been exacerbated by the final ruling on Harry's security. As confirmed by Reuters and the BBC, the UK Court of Appeal upheld the decision to deny Harry taxpayer fund protection in May 2025. By March 2026, the reality of this security snub had set in. The consequences are devastating. Harry is now forced to pay upwards of $3 million annually for top-tier private security to maintain the royal standard Meghan demands. Meghan reportedly uses this lack of official protection as a psychological tool. By framing the UK as a death trap without police escorts, she ensures Harry remains isolated from the influence of King Charles and Prince William, keeping him within the controlled environment of California. In their recent attempts at brand rejuvenation, Harry's role has been reduced to a secondary prop. Observers have noted that Meghan is increasingly the face of all commercial pitches, while Harry is kept in a limited interaction zone. Meghan's jealousy is said to extend to any attention Harry receives independently. In March 2026, as Chelsea Davy celebrated Mother's Day in the UK with the birth of her third child, Finn, the contrast was sharp. While Chelsea moves freely and authentically, Harry's every move is curated. Meghan's team reportedly insists on final approval for every photo to hide Harry's alarming baldness, a metaphor for the total control she exerts over his public identity. Perhaps the strongest chain keeping Harry in Montecito is the legal reality of California. Harry is acutely aware and reportedly distressed that a divorce in California would almost certainly give Meghan primary custody of Archie and Lilith. He cannot take the children back to the UK without her consent. This custody chain is the ultimate leverage, ensuring Harry does not drift back to his first love or his family heritage. The regret Harry feels is likely rooted in this lost autonomy. Had he married Chelsea, he would have had a partner who valued his freedom. Instead, he is in a marriage where freedom was the slogan, but control is the daily reality. A prince in the shadows. As we move through late March 2026, a chilling transformation has taken hold in Montecito. The man once known as the People's Prince, vibrant, spontaneous, and fiercely independent, has seemingly been replaced by a scripted, silent version of himself. From the obsessive photo approval protocols that ban any glimpse of his thinning crown, to the alleged social media policing that keeps him from old friends and secret calls, Harry's identity is being systematically edited. Is this brand protection, as Meghan claims, or is it the final stage of a total psychological takeover? The Duke has become a secondary prop in his own life, and the silence from his camp is becoming deafening. By the 25th of March 2026, the contrast between Prince Harry's past and present is no longer just a topic for royal biographers. It is a visible reality. International media outlets, including IB Times UK and the News International, have reported on a stringent image approval process that has left professional photographers frustrated. According to industry insiders, Meghan Markle's team now insists on final approval for every photograph released of the Duke, ensuring the Sussex brand remains polished and successful, even as reports of separate lives surface. The most literal manifestation of this control is what insiders call the bald spot protocol. Multiple sources confirm that Meghan is obsessed with maintaining the illusion of the youthful, full-haired prince she married. This has led to fans and experts have pointed out that Harry's hair appears impossibly full in official photos for his role as Chief Impact Officer at Better Up, and on recent brand launches for Meghan's As Ever line. According to reports from January 2026, Harry is extremely conscious about losing his hair. Sources quoted in the News International claim the couple will approve 10 pictures and reject 100 to ensure no high-angle shots catch his thinning crown in the wrong light. While Harry previously mocked Prince William's alarming baldness in his memoir Spare, the irony is now being thrown back at him. By March 2026, his own hair loss had become hard to ignore, leading to a reliance on curated PR photos to bridge the gap between his reality and the brand's image. In recent public appearances, such as the couple's unofficial trips to Jordan and upcoming plans for Australia, Harry's verbal footprint has shrunk. While Meghan delivers raw and honest discussions about shared experiences and navigating social media harms, Harry is often seen standing slightly behind her, his body language defensive and withdrawn. This isn't just a change in style, it's a change in agency. Observers note that the Duke has become a secondary prop. Meghan often occupies the centre of the frame, leading the narrative, while Harry provides the royal seal of presence without the voice. This limited interaction is the result of what many call the Meghan correction, a habit of post-event debriefing that has reportedly led Harry to stop speaking unscripted altogether to avoid domestic frustration. The invisible leash extends into Harry's private digital life. As of March 2026, reports suggest that Harry is experiencing emotional drift and isolation. Insiders warn that Harry's support system has turned into a one-woman march. In walking away from his country and his military friends, he relies almost entirely on Meghan, leaving him adrift and isolated as she chases new pursuits. By framing the outside world, especially his old social circle in the UK, as toxic and unsafe, Meghan has effectively become Harry's only window to reality. This isolation is reportedly getting to him mentally, as he no longer feels at home in any one place. The most heartbreaking research from March 2026 suggests that the Duke and Duchess now live more like colleagues than a couple behind closed doors. While they appear polished for the cameras, the Meghan eye contact maneuver, the reality is characterized by bust-ups, boredom, and money worries. Harry is caught in a cycle of image protection that requires him to be a perfect silent version of a prince. He has traded the royal cage for a California bunker where he is free to do exactly what is approved. As he watches his birthright and his voice fade away, the vanishing prince remains the most tragic figure of the current royal landscape. The endgame has arrived. As we stand on the 25th of March, 2026, the gilded cage of Monaceto is facing a structural collapse, with Prince Harry's legal appeals for UK security exhausted and Meghan Markle's team reportedly gauging interest for a tell-all memoir exploring life after a hypothetical split. The invisible leash has become a nuclear trigger. Is Harry's withdrawal a sign of loyalty, or is it the paralysis of a man who knows his next move could be his last? Despair has become a secondary character, and the House of Windsor is watching the final act of a tragedy that could have been a triumph. By March 2026, the power dynamic in the Sussex household has reached a chilling equilibrium. Reports from Vanity Fair and the Economic Times suggest that a post-Dorse book concept has been floated by Meghan's representatives. While the couple publicly denies any split, the mere existence of these speculative inquiries serves as the ultimate checkmate. Meghan's jealousy has evolved from personal insecurity into institutional capture. By holding the narrative of their marriage, she holds Harry's remaining reputation hostage. While Harry's own book damaged his relationship with his father and brother, a book by Meghan about the real Harry, the one she reportedly manages behind closed doors, would be the final blow. Sources suggest Harry remains tethered to the brand because he cannot afford another character assassination. Meghan's ownership of their shared story means Harry is effectively leased to the Sussex brand, unable to reclaim his independent voice without risking a global bestseller that paints him as the villain. The final blow to Harry's autonomy came with the May 2025 court ruling, which remained unchanged through March 2026. The UK Court of Appeal's dismissal of his security challenge has finalised his exile status. Harry is now trapped in a cycle of high-cost survival. To maintain the 247th's private security, Meghan demands he must continue to produce content, even as Netflix reportedly parts ways with Meghan's lifestyle brand as ever due to lackluster ratings. This lack of automatic police protection has made the UK a no-go zone for Harry's family. Meghan uses this legal defeat to justify his continued isolation from King Charles and Prince William, successfully turning the Atlantic into an unbridgeable moat. As we conclude this series, the reaper regret of the House of Windsor is palpable. The contrast with Chelsea Davy, who is thriving in March 2026 with her third child Finn and a successful jewellery empire, is the ultimate poisoned mirror. Had Harry chosen the Chelsea path, he would likely be standing shoulder to shoulder with William and Catherine today. The 4-5-minute delay at Windsor would never have happened. The spare would have been a support. Instead, Harry is a man owned by a brand he no longer controls. While he tries to offer olive branches, like inviting King Charles to the 2027 Invictus Games in Birmingham, he does so from a position of weakness, not strength. The disaster of the Sussex marriage is the eraser of a prince. Harry, once the most vibrant royal, is now a silent partner in a California bunker. Meghan's possessiveness has won the battle for his image, but in doing so, she has lost the war for his legacy. As the sun sets on the 25th of March 2026, the vanishing prince remains a cautionary tale. He traded his family, his country, and his first love for a modernization that turned out to be a monopolization. Whether he finds redemption through his work with veterans or remains a secondary character in Meghan's story is the question that will define the next decade of the British monarchy.